I've been working the last couple of weeks on updating 868 Hack. Some of the balance changes I was working on about 2 years ago, and then got slowed right down. But yeah, it's nice sometimes to come back and revisit something and see what you've learned that you can do better now. So after the initial release, I had adjusted little things here and there for a while, and then maybe four years ago or so, I came back to it and did an expansion and added a few new things. And so basically what I was coming back to was looking at the new powers that have been added in the expansion and having had time to let them sit and be played with, see what little changes needed to be made. On the whole, I found that I'd overcosted them. Like, the idea of several of them was to call out a specific situation. Like, there's one mosh that makes all enemies that are next to each other attack each other, so that rewards managing to get yourself into a situation where lots of enemies are adjacent to each other. There's one sort that rewards being in a situation where there are lots of different types of enemies. Some of the base game progs rewarded having lots of enemies of the same type, so it felt like a positive addition to the game to also reward the opposite and try and be able to because building a set of abilities is sort of about trying to patch the situations where you don't want to add something that is only useful in situations that you already have something for. So just giving things for different types of situations, so that people would have more options for how to balance the weaknesses of their build, but also mostly just to give more variety, and so not necessarily better options, but options you might be stuck with and have to try and work around. So because a lot of the new things were kind of big effects in very specific situations, I had sort of tuned them according to the size of the effect, but because the situations were rare, they would be worth it if you get that situation, but not often enough. So reducing the activation cost made them viable in too many situations to really be interesting, like the one I said that removes enemies of different types. If you reduce the cost of that, then suddenly it's just an efficient way to remove enemies, whether they're a variety of types or not, and that's not so interesting. So what I did with most of the new abilities is reduce the acquisition cost so that they're less risky to take. They're still kind of expensive to use, but they cover up some risky situations, and so you don't because the risks that they cover are less frequent, you don't have to put yourself into as much of a risk to get that coverage. Does that make sense? Whereas something like Attack Plus covers so many situations that it doesn't just need to be expensive to use, but a bit risky to gain. If it didn't spawn so many enemies, then you would pretty guaranteed be able to kill them off with one activation of it. So it needs to create enough such that you have to look at the situation and consider whether you're actually going to be able to survive getting it. So they're mostly pretty minor tweaks, but I think they just balance it out. It's tempting to do more. There's always like cool new ideas you can think of to put in, and with this one I don't think I'm going to, but I mean I did one expansion, I don't think it's worth doing another one. I don't think I have cool enough ideas for it, but yeah, I just have to. The card game Dominion, the design has been out for quite a few years now, and the design has been he's been over the years releasing every year or two a new set, and the design has just gotten a lot better. Like the core game hasn't changed, but the design of card abilities he's really learnt how to make that game really well. And so he's gone back and patched the early sets, which is strange for a physical release. Like, it's making digital games, you get really accustomed to that. You can just patch them, but with a physical card game, you're having to do a re-release of the base set and print new cards. And it's a big investment, but they're definite improvements. Working on one thing for several years, you can really get better at it, and so for me it's interesting to come back to this game after some years, and see that I have a bit more insight. Not as much insight as if I'd been working on the one game the whole time, but little glimpses more. And sometimes I look at what it is possible to do working for several years or just on one thing, and like Caves of Card, like they're coming up to like whatever they're calling it, like the 1.0 release next year, and like it's a huge game, like it's amazing, and yeah, I don't know what their financial thing is. Like, I think they were doing it part-time, but they have a definite, like, fan base. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like if I just worked on one thing all the time rather than making lots of little games here and there, I might be in a better position, but I could also be in a much worse position. It was probably the right thing for me at the time. But now, who knows? Like, there's the ongoing cost of maintaining all the little things I've made, or like the heartbreak of accepting that some of them might just have to be let go. But yeah, like, because I'm asking for Patreon support at the moment, I feel like that sort of covers working on. I'm mostly trying to get myself towards building something new and cool, but people are supporting me based on liking what I've already done, and so yeah, I want to put some of that towards keeping that alive, but it's hard to balance. But yeah, so like one part of the update is like these little balance tweaks from having revisited it with hopefully greater wisdom. And you know, sometimes I think I know better and I change things, and I find out like, wow, just my intuitive choice in the first place was the right thing. I've tried every variation now, but actually the first one, I just magically got it right the first time. It's amazing how often in designs, like, the first thing that fits is just the right thing. But yeah, so there's updating for like good reason, and there's also that it had just stopped working. Like, Apple had updated the operating system, and it was appearing like displaced, like in this much of the screen, and then off the bottom corner. So it was like, I don't even understand engineering wise why that would be a consequence of an update, but yeah. So when I started making mobile games, they had the iPhone and the iPad, and they had an iPod Touch, which was the same dimensions as the iPhone, and like, so that was just like a fixed target. There were two devices and like a third device that was equivalent to one of the other two. So really just two devices. And I bought myself an iPad and an iPod Touch, and I could test everything. Before that, I didn't have a mobile phone. I wasn't setting out to make mobile games. I was making the games that I was interested in making, and people kept saying, "You should put this on mobile. This would be a great fit for mobile." I don't know what that means. But yeah, it turned out to be maybe good advice. Yeah, like that I was experimenting with working with dungeon crawl mechanics on a small grid screen. It did just turn out to be a good fit for mobile games at the time. So yeah, I went along with that, and that Apple at the time only had two devices, three devices, but two screen resolutions, two aspect ratios. It was really a strength that you could test on two things and you know it would work for anyone. Now there's 7, 8 different phones with different size screens, and like a little bit at the corner of the screen that's cut in like this, that like the screen goes past it, but it'll cover up some of the text if you actually put anything there, so you have to just keep it in here and here, and it's just annoying. Like you can't, like, it was a nice simplifying assumption to have like a fixed target hardware. This is like the point of like consoles as well, like PC games, you can be running a faster graphics card or whatever, but like to make it definitely run on that takes a lot of testing, and you get random bugs that, oh, in this model like this happens, and it's not what you have at home, and you have to borrow it from someone else to track it down or something, and it's like yeah, so the early iPhones were like a console, in that you could make sure it ran on a particular hardware, and it would just definitely run for everyone, which was just a nice simplifying assumption to speed up development. And like, if I'd known at the time that this was going to be run on really long thin screens as well, like I would have probably architected some things differently in advance, but that would have slowed me down a bit. And being able to move quite fast was good at the time for jamming, churning out ideas, seeing what sticks. So yeah, like obviously they don't give a damn, like the software development practices for when you're a multi-billion-dollar company, like they don't have any perception of what helps an individual developer move fast and be efficient, and like they wouldn't care anyway, because like I'm below their radar. But yeah, it frustrates me that every time they bring out a new phone with a different shape, or just update the operating system for, as far as I can tell, no reason, they break a bunch of stuff, and then it can be sometimes, often not much, like maybe half the updates. It's just a matter of downloading the new Xcode and recompiling it and then doing it. It's just a little bit of busy work, which is annoying, but then other times it's just like, okay, but now it doesn't work, and you have to figure out why, and it can take several hours, and yeah, it's not something I've always had the focus for, especially since it's not bringing in anything new. But yeah, so I sat down for a few hours and got like squeezed together bits of time across a few days, managed to get enough time to, I thought, get it working. But now that I've released the update, like people with phones are saying it's still not working, and you know, it worked on my iPad and it worked in the simulator, but apparently not on the actual phones, so more work to do. But yeah, it's... Yeah, and then several of my other games need the same attention. And a couple have just stopped working completely. And like a few years ago, and I have tried rebuilding them, and there's just some weird error that I couldn't track down. I spent hours trying, and I guess like it might be something really simple, but it's just like yeah. I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm not a great programmer. Like, if I was good at programming, whatever that means, like, I just know how to do this. But part of being a good programmer is keeping up with all this nonsense. Like, and yeah, when I had more time to just like spend too many hours a day at a computer, like I was able to more keep up with this. And as I get older and have more responsibilities, like yeah, you get driven out in a way. But yeah, 868 hack. That's I was playing it again, and testing it, and like I still really happy with it. Like it is. I still stand by it as a good design. So it does feel worth it to keep it available. I just wish it was like it's like we're just building on sand. Like I mean, literally, you can make a pun out of that or something, but silicon. But yeah, like the civilizations of the past, they're great works of art set in stone, and you can still see many of them today. And whereas now, like some of our great works, like the servers go off 2 years after release, and you can't play it anymore. You know, it's okay for a lot of culture to be ephemeral, but like the entire medium, and many mediums as everything goes digital. It's very fragile.